So let's practice how to squat first. So you could just stand up with your feet apart, then put your arms up overhead, then slowly squat down. It's like sitting in a chair. So make sure your feet are hip width apart, your toes are pointed forward, the knees are aligned to your toes, and your arms are up. So from the side, it looks like this. Try to break parallel. So one way to check if you have a proper squat is your back is aligned to your head, so it's one straight line. So you're not leaning forward too much, or your arms are up here, but when you squat, your arm should be above your head when you try to properly squat. If not, you might have some, tightness in your lower calf or mid-thoracic. If you notice too, this is not a proper squat when you collapse your knee together, or your knee started bowing out, or your feet are turning out. So try to be aware how you properly squat. And since the invention of the chair in the 1600s, people don't know how to do a squat. And actually, this position should be it's a rest position for most people. And now most people can't sit like this. It's very uncomfortable. Maybe the knee issue or the hip or the back. But so today I'm gonna teach you how to properly squat and strengthen your lower body exercise. But first, you should warm up. I have a percussion machine I use to warm up my leg, just my hip flexors, especially if you sit too long. Gonna do it around your side of your quads, not directly to your eye. Your sartorius, more a little bit the inside of your leg. Just to warm it up. So normally it will subside after a minute, probably 15%. That will relax the muscle. This side, TFL. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's actually 100 degrees right now. So maybe some of you think I'm crazy, trying to get my vitamin D. But it's dry heat, it's tolerable. I used to live in the Philippines, it's much worse. Plus the humidity. This one's okay. So you'll find a knot somewhere, like I do, somewhere here, and so more like search and destroy. Once you find it, just roll half an inch up, half an inch down. And because you want those tissue to be, lengthened and hydrated. So this is a good way to warm up before you start moving. Okay. That's it. Or you could do your regular stretches. So I'll do a dynamic warm up. Lunge forward, lunge 45, then side, then reverse, then switch forward. So if you're thinking of a clock, so I'll go 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 8, then 6 o'clock. and switch. So this is a good warm up for your leg before you do any loading. So you want to get those muscles ready for action forward. So make sure the knee doesn't go beyond your toes. Side, rotate, then back. Okay. So one thing you notice too with your legs, one seems to be stronger than the other. So you tend to use one as a crutch, and you tend to expose that when you do single leg exercise. So if you have a step in your house or a staircase, it's a good way to start. So you stand on the staircase, then you're gonna lower your leg, then come up. I have a 90-year-old clients that I'm training right now, helping them to get strong in their leg. I do this with them. And sometimes, especially for some of us who have knee injury, we tend to have that fear of hurting our knee, but if you're not going to strengthen those muscles and tissue, it's not going to get better. It's just going to get weaker and weaker, and eventually you'll be in a walker, then in a wheelchair, then the end, and you don't want that. So this is probably maybe 8 inches height. You could start with a lighter one, or so this is a good warm up. Make sure the knee is properly tracking. It's aligned to your toes. Just do 8 to 10, and you build it up to 15 if you can. Then it should get better. So instead of putting the whole weight, you could just tap, then come up. So most of your weight's on your standing leg. The ones that lowering. So imagine that you're trying to touch a tray of eggs, so don't break any eggs. So you're just gonna sit back and come up. So I'm using my glutes as well when I do this. So I'm not just relying on my knee. We have 21 muscles in our legs, so we want to use them all, especially when you're balancing. So you could also start, if this is too hard for you, you could use a pole and use that as a balance and come up, and you build it up. So a pole is a good way to balance yourself. Then you progress to increasing the height. So this is probably almost like a foot or more, and do the same. Drive your knee down and come up. So you're using your body weight as your resistance. So breathe in when you go down, exhale. Okay, switch sides. Find your balance. Okay, if that's too easy for you, you could raise it higher. Hi Katrina, Julie, Kyle, Luis, thank you for joining. Or you could use a stool a bit higher and step on it. Then you go down and come up. Okay, so we can do this again while I rest. So the next thing we're gonna work on is your glute muscle. You have three glute muscle that very powerful. Actually, your glute is the largest muscle in your body. Your glute maximus, your medius, and minimus. So just gonna warm it up. I'm gonna get that glute muscle ready for summer. No saggy jello butt, jello glutes, right? For the beaches. Hopefully the beaches will be open. So this one you could use a mat. Lay down the mat on your back. You see me do this all the time. So it's just a great glute workout. Pressing your hip to the ceiling like a bridge. Raise your left leg. So a single leg is a bit harder. Okay, then that works your glute and hamstring. To make it more difficult, you could use a medicine ball or a stability ball. You could make your foot unstable and do the same. So your glute has to activate 60% of the work. If your hamstring is doing most of the work, you'll cramp. So that tends to people, when I see people, they cramp in their hamstring. That means their hamstring is more dominant than their glutes. So their glutes need some more encouragement. And the side of the glutes, you know, we took care of the big ones and do the side. So this is an easy version, like a clamshell. Make sure your hips are stacked, ankles are together, his shoulders are stacked. So just keep your shoulder in alignment with your hip and your ankle, then open and close. Just working your obturators. We have a rotary muscle that's in our hip that open and close. And that's the next one. You should feel the glute muscle. You could do like 10 to 15 repetition. That's priority is more your form rather than the reps. And try to feel the muscle working. And straight leg. Then circle back, like a figure 8, circle forward, circle back, circle forward. Hopefully you're doing this with me. You're not just sitting down eating your bonbons. Come on, Julie, you can do this. Get down on the floor. Circle. Okay, you should feel it here. Lift the top leg, inner leg, join the top leg, working the inner thighs.